millionaire in Indonesia is £60. £60 in the UK will not get you very far. Gado-gado, and they're like, what on earth is gado-gado? They look at pisang goreng.
Gado-gado itu like fighting lah, boleh.
Ibu saya masak nasi di microwave. My mum literally...
Masak nasi di microwave? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my YouTube channel HM Studio.
Piye kabare?
Semua teman-teman di Indonesia, tak kira di mana saja anda berada, aku doakan semuanya sihat-sihat aja, dimurahkan rezekinya dan dipermudahkan segala urusan anda semua guys. Amin amin ya robbal alamin. Terima kasih pada anda yang sudah mampir mendukung HM Studio. Terima kasih banyak. Yang baru aja gabung, ayo dong bantu channel ini dengan subscribe HM Studio.
Mantap jiwa.
Oke cuy, gimana persiapan teman-teman di Indonesia sempena raya haji yang bakal tiba ni? Gimana persiapannya? Udah ready semuanya? Kalau yang mau pulang ke kampung tu, hati-hati ya di jalan. Oke cuy, seperti biasa di video kali ini kita akan lanjutkan lagi reaction kita, di mana kali ini kita nak lihat katanya 10 way Indonesia confuse foreigners. 10 cara Indonesia yang mengelirukan warga asing ya. Gimana tu? Seperti biasa guys, jangan lupa untuk anda subscribe channel Alana dan Shmo. Dukung channelnya dengan subscribe ya nanti. Okey cuy, tanpa berlama-lama mari kita lihat apa yang akan dibahaskan oleh bule ini tentang 10 cara yang mengelirukan. Wah, gimana ya? Yuk kita lihat guys.
Di video ini, aku bakal ngomong tentang 10 reasons Indonesia confuses foreigners. Indonesia ada banyak street food. Enak lah. No, bapa, it's not gonna be a little bit spicy. Apa? Number 1, nasi campur.
Nasi
Aku
campur.
sangat suka makan nasi campur, tapi bule get very confused about nasi campur because they don't know what anything is. If they go to local warung and want to makan nasi campur, they don't know what anything says. There's no English signs. Often, not many people can speak English and explain it to them, so they're looking at everything like, what on earth is going on? And they don't get any help from anyone, and they're just really confused. So oftentimes, they just go somewhere where they can have an English menu. But if they had a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance, guys, message me about any...
Oh, itu rupanya. Dia ada tanda ya tentang nama-nama menu makanan di Indonesia. Contohnya macam lauk tu lauk apa, jenis apa. Tapi aku rasa kalau ke warung-warung tepi jalan di Indonesia, aku rasa ada menu tapi dalam bahasa Indonesia lah kan. Akan bahasa Inggeris pula kan. Kalau bahasa Inggeris, bukannya selalu boleh datang membeli. Selalunya orang lokal je yang datang beli kan. Tapi dah namanya pun nasi campur kan. Kalau taruh nama pun nanti bercampur juga di dalam pinggan ya. Canda aja guys, canda aja.
Anything to do with nasi campur, boleh ya, no problem. Tapi for the average foreigner, it just confuses them. Personally, aku sangat suka makan nasi campur. Setiap hari aku suka makan nasi campur.
Setiap hari makan nasi campur.
The money really confuses foreigners because your money is so big, like ₦1,000,000. To be a millionaire in Indonesia is £60. £60 in the UK will not get you very far. Obviously in Indonesia, like ₦1,000,000 is going to get you loads.
Oh shit, 60 pound saja udah dapat tak rupiah ya. Kaya boleh kalau ke Indonesia ya. Ini culture shock juga ya buat bule. Datang ke Indonesia, udah jadi jutawan cuy.
But when foreigners come, and maybe if they're on holiday, if they're going to Jakarta, Bali, when they exchange their money, maybe they're going to have like a few £100s for a couple of weeks. When they exchange that into rupiah, they become millionaires and they just get so confused. They're like, wait, what? How is this money real? They feel like it's monopoly money. Suddenly, the bills are so much bigger than what they're used to if they're coming from Europe, America, wherever they're coming from, Asia. Different money is very interesting to see like how much is equivalent to somewhere else. Number 3, the spice level. When uncle
spice level.
Pedas,
Pedasan.
sedikit pedas. No, bapa, it's not going to be a little bit spicy or no spice. That food, sangat pedas lah. Pedas gila. It's going to be so crazy spicy that you're not going to be able to handle it. And this confuses foreigners. If you tell them it's a little bit spicy or no spice, and suddenly...
Tahap kepedasan tu kan dia ada level-level dia kan. Tapi boleh ni kalau udah lidah keju cuy. Mana bisa pedas-pedas dong. Kalau tahap kepedasan tu aku kira dalam 1% lah. Aku rasa muka dia orang pun udah merah banget ya.
It's really spicy, they get confused. They're like, but you said no spice. Honestly, guys, if someone tells me no spice, I expect 0% spice. I expect negative spice in that food. So when it becomes spicy in my mouth and there's a party going on in my mouth, I get a little bit confused. Tapi now saya belajar that sedikit pedas in Indonesian to foreigner is a lot of spice. Tak pedas, still gonna be a little bit of spice. All right, you get it, guys?
Okay.
So now foreigners, you can understand the spice level di Indonesia.
Laju juga ya dia ngomong bahasa Inggeris. Pandai dia bahasa Inggeris ya. Lajunya seperti speedboat cuy. Nasi ada subtitle. Pening aku.
Number 4, street food. Street food can confuse foreigners because Indonesia ada banyak street food lah. There's so much street food on offer that foreigners just get overwhelmed. But they also get confused because if there's no signs in English, they look at like gado-gado and they're like, what on earth is gado-gado? They look at pisang goreng.
Gado-gado itu like fighting lah boleh. What? Gak betul sorry. Itu makanan ya, gado-gado.
What is pisang goreng? They should really just Google it, right? Or
not gado-gado.
watch my videos. But if it's their first time in Indonesia, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming and there's all these different stalls. But if you're a foreigner coming to Indonesia, my advice to you is just go for it. Just try everything. Obviously, if you have dietary requirements, maybe learn in Bahasa Indonesia how to say like no peanuts, which I think is tidak kacang di sini, something like that. Overall, guys, you got to push yourself out there. You got to try all the Indonesian street food because there's so much on offer and enak lah. It's so delicious. Number 5, the language. Of course, the language is foreigners. Even for me, saya boleh bercakap di bahasa Melayu, tapi di Indonesia, saya tidak bercakap di bahasa Indonesia. It's very difficult for me to speak Indonesian. I learned bahasa Melayu first, so it's much easier for me to speak Malaysian.
Dia bisa bicara dalam bahasa Melayu ya?
When I come to Indonesia, I have to start switching words. Saya to aku, selamat tengah hari to selamat siang. So many things. Cuba to coba. There's so many subtle differences in the Indonesian language, and more so when I do TikTok live or YouTube live, when people type in Malay, I understand, but when you type in Indonesian, and on top of that, you use like text talk Indonesian where the words are like so short. I look at it and I'm like, what on earth does that say? Aku.
Pening kan? Orang-orang Indonesia kan kalau tulis mesej ke apa kan dia orang selalu shortcut tu kan. Short form tu. Pening bulenya. Tapi dia mau belajar okey lah kan.
Mahu belajar lagi ya. Like I will hopefully inshallah learn more. Okay? Give me some time. Aku cuba lah, okay? Number 6. That would be the spray gun in the bathroom. So I think most foreigners when they come to Indonesia, when they see the spray gun, they think, oh, this is just for like cleaning the toilet, cleaning the bathroom. What a great idea. Little do they know it's actually for cleaning themselves. Like in the UK and Europe, we just don't have this. I think in France they have that every day. And I think, no, not even I think, I know Indonesians, when they find out that Europeans don't use this, they're like, Apa? Get using it, guys. Number 7. I feel like this one, moving on from the last one's quite funny. Using your hands to eat food. This is definitely something that confuses foreigners because they're used to eating with a fork and a knife, and not only are they trying to use a fork and a spoon, now you're adding hands into the mixture and they just look really awkward. And if you're like me who's left-handed but you have to use your right hand, you just look like a child who's learning to eat food for the first time in their lives. But they can learn, okay? Give foreigners a chance, they can.
Kalau di tempat bule tu kan selalu mereka makan pakai sudu dan garpu kan. Kalau pakai tangan tu dia macam mana ya? Dia kurang beradab sikit lah kalau di benua mereka ni. Tapi kalau di tempat kita ni lebih sopan kan makan dengan tangan. Orang kita memang udah terbiasa makan guna tangan. Tapi macam bule ni dia confused lah kan nak makan tangan kanan ke tangan kiri. Kalau makan tangan kiri, alamak.
and learn. They can use their hand. It is very confusing for us. Like, we are taught that it's bad manners to use your hand. I know, can you believe that? We're told, like, don't play with your food, don't eat your food with your hand, eat it with a knife and fork. But when we come to Indonesia, we're like, oh, okay, let's try use our hand, because that is more polite. That is how you should be eating food. It does confuse us, but we do try. Number 8, leading on to this, you're never given a knife. You're given a fork and a spoon, which is hard enough to try and understand because we're used to really using a knife. If we're having like meat, we'd put the fork in the meat and then cut it like this. Suddenly, we either have to use our hand, like I mentioned, or try and like flick the meat off with the spoon. And it makes sense because a lot of your meals in Indonesia, like makanan Indonesia, ada, nasi, like it has a lot of rice, right? So that's why I use the fork, because then you can scoop up the rice. And it does make sense. But when it comes to the meat, we're like, how do we eat this? Without a knife, we do get a little bit confused here. But again, as I mentioned, we try. Number 9, when you're given hot water instead of cold water when you ask for water in a restaurant. So if you're asking just for like maybe a glass of water rather than like a bottle of water, and they give you like hot water, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, we always would expect like cold water, like even with ice cubes, or what we could also get is room temperature maybe in Europe, but we don't really like that. We much prefer cold water. But here, if you just ask for normal water, perhaps they would bring you hot water, which is a little bit confusing for us. We're like, oh, okay, do we need tea bag? Are we gonna have some tea? Like, no, girl, you're just gonna drink your hot water. Enjoy. And I'm like, oh, no lemon? Like, maybe we'd have hot water with lemon, but just hot water. Boleh, okay. Number 10, rice cookers. I know what you're thinking, but rice cookers actually really confuse us foreigners. We just don't really have them. Like, I certainly don't have a rice cooker at home. I don't know many Europeans that actually have a rice cooker. We're used to actually cooking rice, wait for it, on the stove. I know, we cook rice on a stove with a pan, and even worse, my mom, I'm sorry to out you, mom, but ibu saya masak nasi di microwave. My mom literally
masak nasi di microwave? Gimana tuh? Masak nasinya pakai microwave? Bukan calang-calang nih.
Cooks rice in the microwave. I know what you're thinking, guys. I know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking. But it's true. My mom genuinely sometimes uses the microwave. We don't have a rice cooker, and I just don't know a lot of Europeans who do have a rice cooker. If you like this video, don't forget to watch this video here when I talk about 10 weird habits I've adopted living in Indonesia.
Okey guys, itu dia guys, 10 cara Indonesia yang membingungkan para bule bila datang ke Indonesia. Mungkin daripada 10 perkara yang disebutkan tadi tu, mungkin benda tu biasa bagi kita. Tetapi bagi para bule ini adalah sesuatu perkara yang baru yang mereka perlu belajar untuk beradaptasi dengan cara dan juga suasana persekitaran yang baru di Indonesia. Menurut aku itu normal lah kan, beza benua, beza budayanya. Dan kata bule ni tadi lebih membingungkan bila pertukaran mata wang tu kan. Dengan 60 pound aja mereka sudah jadi tuan cuy kalau ke Indonesia. Bule-bule pun dah pelik cuy. Melihat kosong-kosong tu banyak sangat. Dia jadi shock ya, shock, culture shock. So bule-bule kalau mau jadi jutawan, datang aja ke Indonesia. Pasti anda jadi jutawan. Tapi kalau bab makanan tadi, fikir ada benarnya juga. Kalau kita pun nak ke mana-mana untuk makan, pasti kita nak lihat dulu kan menunya, makanan apa nama makanannya, jenis apa makanannya kan. Mesti kita nak tahu dulu kan. Tapi kalau mereka pergi ke warung-warung di tepi jalan, rasanya ada kot menunya kan, tapi dalam bahasa Indonesia lah. Sebab orang-orang kita je yang pergi membelinya. Kalau di Indonesia menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, orang-orang Indonesia je yang selalu membeli kan. Bule ni jarang-jarang lah kan kita nampak. Kalau nak taruh bahasa Inggeris di menu tu pun, kalau di Indonesia bahasa Inggeris tu bukannya bahasa yang utama. Mereka lebih utamakan bahasa Indonesia. Jadi susah juga ya. Aku rasa penyelesaiannya harus pihak pelancongan Indonesia lah guide para turis ni, bagi taklimat mana mereka harus pergi di Indonesia, makanan apa yang mereka mudah cari di Indonesia. Tapi boleh-boleh mau ke macam tu kan? Lalu mereka ni redah ya kan mana mereka nak pergi. Susah juga cuy. So cuy, gimana pula cuy menurut anda tentang video yang telah kita simak sebentar tadi? Gimana pula pendapat anda cuy? Nanti anda boleh turunkan di ruangan komentar di bawah ya. Baik cuy, aku rasa itu aja daripada aku kali ini. Jika anda suka, jangan lupa untuk anda subscribe, like, komen dan share. Salah dan silap sepanjang aku share ke video ini, aku mohon maaf. Moga bertemu lagi di video yang akan datang. Dadah didi dudu. Jumpa lagi. Assalamualaikum.